Yes, good evening. Ayan. So, welcome to our Bible reading marathon. It's our 16th day, ng pagbabasa natin. So, nakakatawa na talagang natutuloy-tuloy natin to. Masarap magsimula. Tapos nagtutuloy-tuloy. Alam mo yung pag nagtutuloy-tuloy ka, malapit ka na dun sa, unti-unti, no? Lumalapit ka na sa accomplishment ng iyong goal. So, we're halfway to our goal. So, we're establishing new discipline every night that before we sleep, we are reading the Word of God. So, are you ready? Okay, so let's start na po our reading. The background of the book of Ecclesiastes. So, for tonight, our reading will be the book of Ecclesiastes with 12 chapters. The book of Songs of Songs or Songs of Solomon with 8 chapters, and we'll start reading a few chapters from Isaiah because Isaiah is a long book with 60 plus chapters. So we will start ngayong gabi. Okay, so let's read po the book of Ecclesiastes. The key word in Ecclesiastes is vanity, the emptiness of trying to be happy apart from God. The preacher, traditionally identified as Solomon, the wisest, richest king in Israel's history, Ecclesiastes 1, verse 1 and 12, looks at life under the sun, and from a purely human perspective, he declares it all to be empty. Power, popularity, prestige, pleasure, nothing can fill the God-shaped vacuum in man's life but God himself. Once seen from God's perspective, however, life takes on great meaning and purpose. Skepticism and despair melt away when we view life as a daily gift from God. So that's what the best thing to do in our situation now because negativity is rampant. But again, if we will see in God's perspective of what is happening now, we'll see the beauty. Even there's so many ugly and dark things happening around us. Okay, the Hebrew title Zohelet or preacher is a rare term in Bible, found only in Ecclesiastes. It comes from the word kahal, to convoke an assembly, to assemble. Thus, it means one who addresses an assembly. The Septuagint uses the word Ecclesiastes as its title for this book, a name derived from the Greek term ecclesia, assembly, congregation, or church. Because of the largely negative and pessimistic tone of the book, ancient Hebrews debated whether it even belonged in the Bible. In God's sovereignty, however, Ecclesiastes took its place with the other 38 books of the Old Testament. And so it continues to speak its powerful truths to our own increasingly secular culture. Life without God just does not work. Remember that, okay? Again, life without God just does not work. Even if one can manage to accumulate wealth, fame, popularity, and power. So the conclusion of the ancient preacher stands: fear God and keep His commandments, because this applies to every person. Okay, so remember the author is it is believed that the author is King Solomon, and we know that King Solomon is the wisest, and the richest king. But even so, he says he saw life as vanity or in vain. But apart from God, it is really okay. So let's see. The theme of this book is outside of a real and dynamic relationship with God, even a successful life will be full of futility and vanity. So the author is uncertain, but yeah, of course, it is thought to be King Solomon. The time is Solomon ruled Israel in the 10th century BC. So the structure of the book of Ecclesiastes, the introduction to Ecclesiastes declares the futility of human effort apart from a living relationship with God. Still, life is to be enjoyed as a gift from God's own hand from chapter 1, verse 12 to chapter 11, verse 6. And because death is coming sooner than we think in our enjoyment of life, we should remember that God's judgment also is coming. That is from Ecclesiastes 11, verse 7 to chapter 12 to 8. The book concludes with a charge to fear God and obey His commandments. That is Ecclesiastes 12, verse 9 to 14. Okay, so as you read Ecclesiastes, watch for the life principles that play an important role in this book. Okay, so life principle 11, God assumes full responsibility for our needs when we obey Him. So don't be afraid to obey the Lord because the Lord will take care of all your needs. So yeah, it's very challenging to not to think of our needs as as humans, but if if we set our hearts in the Lord and really focus on our eyes in Him, you know, faith will really increase from us, and with that, we can have peace from Him, and our trust will continue to grow inside of us, and that will bring us peace. Okay, then life principle number 28. No Christian has ever been called to go it alone in his or her walk of faith. Yes, it is true. You cannot be Christian or even grow as a child of God without fellowship from the Lord, and of course with the Lord and with the people around you, because faith is not just a declaration of words, but it should be producing a certain actions from us that is glorifying in the Lord. Okay, and verse 20 and I mean life principle number 26. Adversity is a bridge to a deeper relationship with God. Yes. Okay, so challenges, adversities, difficulties, whatever you name it, that must be a bridge and not something that will disconnect you from the Lord. Okay, so in life principle number 20, disappointments are inevitable. Discouragement is a choice. Yes, we always have a choice. It's in within our power to choose. So even the no choice is a choice. Alam niyo ba yun? Yeah, it's a choice. Okay, so yan. So let's pray po for our reading tonight. Father, we come into your holy presence. Oh God, we ask, oh Lord, that you will continue to, Lord, to teach us, oh God. Soften our hearts as we read your word and align our spirit, oh God. Renew our minds, Father, so that whatever we will receive from your word, oh God, it will continue to take effect in us, oh God, Lord, changing us from deep within, oh God, and cultivating the very principle, virtues, oh God, and Lord, the mindset, especially the heart that you would like to form in us, oh God. And let it manifest, oh God, as we, Lord, change from the inside. Let it manifest, let it be seen, Lord, by our outward work and with our speech and thoughts, oh God, as we, Lord, live every day, oh God. Let us, Lord, be inspired by your word, oh God. Yes, Lord, thank you for tonight, oh God, and give us strength, Lord, concentration to understand your word as we read it, Lord. We praise you, Father, in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so let's start. Ready? So Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Everything is meaningless. The words of the teacher, son of David, king in Jerusalem. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. What does man gain from all his labor, at which he toils under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets, and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one can say, "Look, this is something new"? It was here already, long ago. It was here before our time. There is no remembrance of men of old, and even those who are yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow. Wisdom is meaningless. I, the teacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem. I devoted myself to study and to explore by wisdom all that is under heaven. What a heavy burden God has laid on men. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind. What is twisted cannot be straightened, what is lacking cannot be counted. I thought to myself, look, I have grown and increased in wisdom more than anyone who has ruled over Jerusalem before me. I have experienced much of wisdom and knowledge. Then I applied myself to the understanding of wisdom and also of madness and folly. But I learned that this too is a chasing after the wind. For with which mu- for with much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief. Boy, so negative. Huh? But I would like to underline that. Pleasures are meaningless. I thought in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure to find out what is good. But that also proved to be meaningless. Laughter, I said, is foolish, and what does pleasure accomplish? I tried cheering myself with wine and embracing folly, my mind still guiding me with wisdom. I wanted to see what was worthwhile for men to do under heaven during the few days of their lives. I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees. I bought male and female slaves and had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owned more herds and flocks than anyone in Jerusalem before me. I amassed silver and gold for myself and the treasure of kings and provinces. I acquired men and women, singers, and a harem as well, the delights of the heart of man. I became greater by far than anyone in Jerusalem before me. In all this, my wisdom stayed with me. I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my work, and this was the reward for all my labor. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. Wisdom and folly are meaningless. Then I turned my thoughts to consider wisdom and also madness and folly. What more can the king's successor do than what has already been done? I saw that wisdom is better than folly, just as light is better than darkness. The wise man has eyes in his head, while the fool walks in the darkness. But I came to realize that the same fate overtakes them both. Then I thought in my heart, the fate of the fool will overtake me also. What then do I gain by being wise? I said in my heart, this too is meaningless. For the wise man, like the fool, will not be long remembered. In days to come, both will be forgotten. Like the fool, the wise man too must die. Hi, Erica. Hello, Julius. Hello, Dan. And hello, Naomi. Let's read. Basa-basa tayo dyan. Hello, Eman, sa mga nauna dyan na makibasa. So, let's read continuously. So, we're now in chapter 2, verse 17. Toil is meaningless. So, I hated life because the work that is done under the sun was grievous to me. All of it is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. I hated all the things I had toiled for under the sun, because I must leave them to the one who comes after me. And who knows whether he will be a wise man or a fool, yet he will have control over all the work into which I have poured my effort and skill under the sun. This too is meaningless. So my heart began to despair over my toilsome labor under the sun. For a man may do his work with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, and then he must leave all he owns to someone who has not worked for it. This too is meaningless and a great misfortune. What does a man get for all the toil and anxious striving with which he labors under the sun? All his days his work is pain and grief. Even at night his mind does not rest. This too is meaningless. A man can do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in his work. This too, I say, is from the hand of God. For without him, who can eat or find enjoyment? To the man who pleases him, God gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. But to the sinner, he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth to hand it over to the one who pleases God. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Hi, Erica, and hello po, Sir Pilo, and hello, Anne, Victoria Mago. Hello po, Sir Edmund, and yes, Patricia, hello. So, chapter 3 na po tayo. Let's continue to read. A time for everything. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What does the worker gain from his toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on men. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Yes. Let's highlight both verse 11. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men, yet they cannot fathom what God God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for men than to be happy and do good while they live. That everyone may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all his toil. This is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it, and nothing taken from it. God does it so that men will revere him. Whatever is has already been, and what will be has been before, and God will call the past to account. And I saw something else under the sun. In the place of judgment, wickedness was there. In the place of justice, wickedness was there. I thought in my heart, God will bring to judgment both the righteous and the wicked, for there will be a time for every activity, a time for every deed. I also thought, as for men, God tests them so that they may see that they are like the animals. Man's fate is like that of the animals. The same fate awaits them both. As one dies, so dies the other. All have the same birth. Man has no advantage over the animal. Everything is meaningless. All go to the same place. All come from dust, and to dust all return. Who knows if the spirit of man rises upward and if the spirit of the animal goes down in the earth? So I saw that there is nothing better for a man than to enjoy his work, because that is his lot. For who can bring him to see what will happen after him? Oppression, friendlessness. Chapter 4. Again, I looked and saw all the oppression that was taking place under the sun. I saw the tears of the oppressed, and they have no comforter. Power was on the side of their oppressors, and they have no comforter, and declared that the dead who had already died are happier than the living, who are still alive. But better than both is he who has not yet been, who has not seen the evil that is done under the sun. And I saw that all labor and all achievement spring from man's envy of his neighbor. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. The fool folds his hands and ruins himself. Better one handful with tranquility than two handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. Again, I saw something meaningless under the sun. There was a man all alone. He had neither son nor brother. There was no end to his toil, yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. For whom am I toiling, he asked, and why am I depriving myself of enjoyment? This too is meaningless, a miserable business. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up, but pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. Advancement is meaningless. Better a poor but wise youth than old but foolish king who no longer knows how to take warning. The youth may have come from prison to the kingship, or he may have been born in poverty within his kingdom. I saw that all who lived and walked under the sun followed the youth, the king's successor. There was no end to all the people who were before them. But those who came later were not pleased with the successor. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Hi, Ate Vange. Okay, hi, Hazel. Yes. Chapter 5 of Ecclesiastes. Stand in awe of God. Guard your steps when you go to the house of God. Go near to listen, rather than to offer the sacrifice of fools, who do not know that they do wrong. Do not be quick with your mouth, do not be hasty in your heart to utter anything before God. God is in heaven and you are on earth. So let your words be few. As a dream comes when there are many cares, so the speech of a fool when there are many words. Yes, this is good reminder. When you make a vow to God, do not delay in fulfilling it. He has no pleasure in fools. Fulfill your vow. It is better not to vow than to make a vow and not fulfill it. Do not let your mouth lead you into sin, and do not protest to the temple messenger. My vow was a mistake. Why should God be angry at what you say and destroy the work of your hands? Much dreaming and many words are meaningless. Therefore, stand in awe of God. Riches are meaningless. Verse 8, chapter 5. If you see the poor oppressed in a district and justice and rights denied, do not be surprised at such things. For one official is eyed by a higher one, and over them both are others higher still. The increase from the land is taken by all. The king himself profits from the fields. Whoever loves money never has money enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with his income. This too is meaningless. As goods increase, so does who consume them, and what benefit are they to the owner, except to feast his eyes on them? The sleep of a laborer is sweet, whether he eats little or much, but the abundance of a rich man permits him no sleep. Yeah. Hi, Susama, and that is verse 12. Let's highlight chapter 5, verse 12. Now we're in verse 13. I have seen a grievous evil under the sun, wealth hoarded to the harm of its owner, or wealth lost through some misfortune, so that when he has a son there is nothing left for him. Naked a man comes from his mother's womb, and as he comes, so he departs. He takes nothing from his labor that he can carry in his hand. This too is grievous evil. As a man comes, so he departs. And what does he gain, since he toils for the wind? All his days he eats in darkness, with great frustration and affliction and anger. Then I realized that it is good and proper for a man to eat and drink, and to find satisfaction in his toilsome labor under the sun during the few days of life God has given him, for this is his lot. Moreover, when God gives any man wealth and possessions and enables him to enjoy them, to accept his lot and be happy in his work, this is a gift of God. He seldom reflects on the days of his life, because God keeps him occupied with gladness of heart. I have seen another evil under the sun. Chapter 6. I have seen another evil under the sun, and it weighs heavily on men. God gives a man wealth, possessions, and honor, so that he lacks nothing his heart desires. But God does not enable him to enjoy them, and a stranger enjoys them instead. This is meaningless and grievous evil. A man may have 100 children and live many years, yet no matter how long he lives, if he cannot enjoy his prosperity and does not receive proper burial, I say that a stillborn child is better off than he. It comes without meaning. It departs in darkness, and in darkness its name is shrouded. Though it never saw the sun or knew anything, it has more rest than does that man. Even if he lives 1,000 years, twice over, but fails to enjoy his prosperity. Do not all go to the same place? All man's efforts are for his mouth, yet his appetite is never satisfied. What advantage has a wise man over a fool? What does a poor man gain by knowing how to conduct himself before others? Better what the eye sees than the roving of the appetite. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Whatever exists has already been named. And what man has been known. No man can contend with one who is stronger than he. The more the words, the less the meaning. And how does that profit anyone? For who knows? What is good for a man in life? During the few and meaningless days he passes through like a shadow. Who can tell him what will happen under the sun after he is gone? Chapter 7. Wisdom. A good name is better than fine perfume. Wow. And the day of death better than the day of birth. It is better to go to a house of mourning than to go to a house of feasting. For that is the destiny of every man. The living should take this to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, because a sad face is good for the heart. Yeah, nice. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of pleasure. It is better to heed a wise man's rebuke than to listen to the song of fools. Like the crackling of thorns under the pot, so is the laughter of fools. This too is meaningless. Extortion turns a wise man into a fool, and a bribe corrupts the heart. The end of a matter is better than its beginning. Wow, yes, this is wisdom. And patience is better than pride. Do not be quickly provoked in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools. Do not say, why were the old days better than this? For it is not wise to ask such question. Oh, nice. It is so real. Wisdom, like an inheritance, is a good thing. Yeah, and benefits those who see the sun. Wisdom is a shelter as money is a shelter. But the advantage of knowledge is this, that wisdom preserves the life of its possessor. Wow. Consider what God has done. Who can straighten what has made crooked? When times are good, be happy. But when times are bad, consider. God has made the one as well as the other. Therefore, a man cannot discover anything about his future. Okay? In this meaningless life, hello. Okay, so chapter 7, verse 15. In this meaningless life of mine, I have seen both of this. A righteous man perishing in his righteousness, and a wicked man living long in his wickedness. Do not be over righteous, neither be over wise. Why destroy yourself? Do not be over wicked, and do not be a fool. Why die before your time? It is good to grasp the one and not let go of the other. The man who fears God will avoid all extremes. Wow. Let's highlight that. Hi, Frankie. Hello. Okay, chapter 7, verse 19. Wisdom makes one wise man. Again, wisdom makes one wise man more powerful than 10 rulers in a city. There is not a righteous man on earth who does what is right and never sins. Do not pay attention to every word people say, or you may hear your servant cursing you. For you know in your heart that many times you yourself have cursed others. All this I tested by wisdom and I said, I am determined to be wise, but this was beyond me. Whatever wisdom may be, it is far off. It is far off and most profound. Who can discover it? So I turned my mind to understand, to investigate, and to search out wisdom in the scheme of things, and to understand the stupidity of wickedness and the madness of folly. I find more bitter than death. The woman who is a snare, whose heart is a trap, and whose hands are chains. The man who pleases God will escape her, but the sinner she will ensnare. Look, says the teacher, this is what I have discovered. Adding one thing to another to discover the scheme of things, while I was still searching but not finding. I found one upright man among 1,000, but not one upright woman among them all. This only have I found. God made mankind upright, but men have gone in search of many schemes. Chapter 8. Who is like the wise man, who knows the explanation of things? Wisdom brightens a man's face, and changes its hard appearance. Obey the king. Chapter 8, verse 2 na po tayo. Obey the king's command, I say, because he took an oath before God. Do not be in a hurry to leave the king's presence. Do not stand up for a bad cause, for he will do whatever he pleases. Since a king's word is supreme, who can say to him, what are you doing? Whoever obeys his command will come to no harm, and the wise heart will know the proper time and procedure. For there is a proper time and procedure for every matter, though a man's misery weighs heavily upon him. Since no man knows the future, who can tell him what it is to come? No man has power over the wind to contain it, so no one has power over the day of his death. As no one is discharged in time of war, so wickedness will not release those who practice it. I will underline that. Hello po, Kuya Kino. Let's read. So, chapter 8, verse 9 na po tayo. All this I saw as I applied my mind to everything done under the sun. There is a time when a man lords it over others to his own hurt. Then, too, I saw the wicked buried, those who used to come and go from the holy place and receive praise in the city where they did this. This, too, is meaningless. When the sentence for a crime is not quickly carried out, the hearts of the people are filled with schemes to do wrong. Oh, although a wicked man commits 100 crimes and still lives a long time, I know that it will go better with God-fearing men who are reverent before God. Yet because the wicked do not fear God, it will not go well with them, and their days will not lengthen like a shadow. There is something else meaningless that occurs on earth. Righteous men who get what the wicked deserve, and wicked men who get what the righteous deserve. This too, I say, is meaningless. So I commend the enjoyment of life, because nothing is better for a man under the sun than to eat and drink and be glad. Then joy will accompany him in his work all the days of the life God has given him under the sun. When I applied my mind to know wisdom and to observe man's labor on earth, his eyes not seeing sleep day or night, then I saw all that God has done. No one can comprehend what goes on under the sun. Despite all his efforts to search it out, man cannot discover its meaning. Even if a wise man claims he knows, he cannot really comprehend it. Well, again, you have to be warned. Ecclesiastes should not be interpreted by verse. Okay, get the whole context of the whole book. Okay, so para hindi tayo maligaw ng understanding. Okay, so chapter 9, a common destiny for all. So I reflected on all this and concluded that the righteous and the wise and what they do are in God's hands. But no man knows whether love or hate awaits him. All share a common destiny, the righteous and the wicked, the good and the bad, the clean and the unclean, those who offer sacrifices and those who do not. As it is with the good man, so with the sinner. As it is with those who take oaths, so with those who are afraid to take them. This is the evil in everything that happens under the sun. The same destiny overtakes all. The hearts of men, moreover, are full of evil, and there is madness in their hearts while they live, and afterward they join the dead. Anyone who is among the living has hope. Even a live dog is better off than a dead lion. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing. They have no further reward, and even the memory of them is forgotten. Their love, their hate, and their jealousy have long since vanished. Never again will they have a part in anything that happens under the sun. Go, eat your food with gladness, and drink your wine with a joyful heart. For it is now that God favors what you do. Always be clothed in white, and always anoint your head with oil. Enjoy life with your wife, whom you love, all the days of this meaningless life that God has given you under the sun. All your meaningless days, for this is your lot in life and in your toilsome labor under the sun. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might, for in the grave where you are going, there is neither working, nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom. I have seen something else under the sun. The race is not the swift, or the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise, or wealth to the brilliant, or favor to the learned, but time and chance happen to them all. Moreover, no one knows when this hour will come, as fish are caught in a cruel net, or birds are taken in a snare. So men are trapped by evil times that fall unexpectedly upon them. Wisdom better than folly. Chapter 9, verse 13. I also saw under the sun this example of wisdom that greatly impressed me. There was once a small city with only a few people in it, and a powerful king came against it, surrounded it, and built huge siege works against it. Now there lived in the city a man poor but wise, and he saved the city by his wisdom. But nobody remembered that poor man. So I said, wisdom is better than strength, but the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are no longer heeded. Yeah, this is sad about wisdom. That's why you have to make yourself influential. Okay? Verse 17. The quiet words of the wise are more to be heeded than the shouts of a ruler of fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. Chapter 10. As dead flies give perfume a bad smell, so a little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. The heart of the wise inclines to the right, but the heart of the fool to the left. Even as he walks along the road, the fool lacks sense and shows everyone how stupid he is. If a ruler's anger rises against you, do not leave your post. Calmness can lay great errors to rest. Wow, this is beautiful. There's an evil I have seen under the sun, the sort of error that arises from a ruler. Fools are put in many high positions, while the rich occupy the low ones. I have seen slaves on horseback, while princes go on foot like slaves. Whoever digs a pit may fall into it. Whoever breaks through a wall may be beaten by a snake. Whoever quarries stones may be injured by them. Whoever splits logs may be endangered by them. If the axe is dull and its edge unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success. This is so wise. If a snake bites before it is charmed, there is no profit of the charmer. Words from a wise man's mouth are gracious, but the fool is consumed by his own lips. At the beginning his words are folly, at the end they are wicked madness, and the fool multiplies words. No one knows what is coming who can tell what will happen after him. A fool's work wearies him, he does not know the way to town. Woe to you, O land whose king was a servant, and whose princes feast in the morning. Blessed are you, O land whose king is of noble birth, and whose princes eat at a proper time, for strength and not for drunkenness. If a man is lazy, the rafters sag. If his hands are idle, the house leaks. Yes. A feast is made for laughter, and wine makes life merry, but money is the answer for everything. Do not revile the king even in your thoughts, or curse the rich in your bedroom. Because a bird of the air may carry your words, and a bird on the wing may report what you say. Kulit. Bread upon the waters. Chapter 11. Cast your bread upon the waters, for after many days you will find it again. Give portions to 7, yes to 8, for you do not know what disaster may come upon the land. If clouds are full of water, they pour rain after the earth. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there will it lie. Whoever watches the wind will not plant, whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. As you do not know the path of the wind or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. Sow your seed in the morning, and at the evening let not your hands be idle. For you do not know which will succeed, whether with this or that, or whether both will do equally well. Remember your Creator while young. Verse 7. Light is sweet, and it pleases the eyes to see the sun. However many years a man may live, let him enjoy them all. But let him remember the days of darkness, for they will be many. Everything to come is meaningless. Be happy, young man, while you are young, and let your heart give you joy in the days of your youth. Follow the ways of your heart and whatever your eyes see, but know that for all these things, God will bring you to judgment. So then, banish anxiety from your heart, and cast off the troubles of your body, for youth and vigor are meaningless. Chapter 12, the last chapter. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come and the years approach when we will say, I find no pleasure in them. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars grow dark, and the clouds return after the rain, when the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men stoop, when the grinders cease because they are few, and those looking through the window grow dim, when the doors to the street are closed, and the sound of grinding fades, when men rise up at the sound of words, but all their songs grow faint, when men are afraid of heights and of dangers in the streets, when the almond tree blossoms and the grasshopper drags himself along, and desire no longer is stirred. Then man goes to his eternal home, and mourners go about the streets. Remember him before the silver cord is severed, or the golden bowl is broken, before the pitcher is shattered at the spring, or the wheel broken at the well, and the dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Let's highlight verse 7 of chapter 12. Meaningless, says the teacher. Everything is meaningless. The conclusion of the matter. Not only was the teacher wise, but also imparted knowledge to the people. He pondered and searched out and set in order many proverbs. The teacher searched to find just the right words, and what he wrote was right and sure. The words of the wise are like goads. They're collected sayings like firmly embedded nails, given by one shepherd. Be warned, my son, of anything in addition to them, of making many books. There is no end, and much study wearies the body. Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. So that's the conclusion of the matter of chapter of the book of Ecclesiastes. It's not easy to understand this Ecclesiastes because it started negative, no, na parang puro tanong, parang lahat walang kwenta, pero remember, the author is King Solomon, and though he is the wisest, but he failed also to keep the commandments of God. His heart was misled by the many wives, by the God of the wives that he got for himself, no, sa daming asawa niya, na iba yung puso niya. So yung wisdom niya talaga nag-corrupt or nag-compromise. Kaya ang dami niyang mga questions na later on naman in his life, naintindihan niya na ang pinakamahalaga pa rin talaga ay yung conclusion niya. Sabi niya nga is fear God. Fear God and obey His commandments. Okay, so we're done with Ecclesiastes. Let's read the summary or the introduction for the book of Song of Songs or Song of Solomon. Okay, so does God have anything to say about love, sex, and intimacy? For many people, the words romance and Bible conjure up a long list of religious thou shalt not. But God never intended for us to view love in a negative way. He created us in love, and for that reason, the Bible has a great deal to say about romantic love. In fact, it often uses pictures of human love to help us understand God's love for us. As one key example, consider the Song of Solomon. The Song of Solomon is a beautiful love poem written by Solomon that abounds in colorful metaphors and Eastern imagery. When considered literally, it depicts the wooing and wedding of a shepherdess by King Solomon and the joys, thrills, heartaches, and surprises of wedded love. Throughout the ages, scholars have also looked at the book through an allegorical lens. When considered in this way, it pictures Israel as God's betrothed bride in Hosea chapter 2, verse 19 and 20, and the church as the bride of Christ, Ephesians 5, verse 25 to 32. It teaches that we find our highest fulfillment in the unconditional love of God. Indeed, yes. The Hebrew title, Ashir Hashirim, comes from chapter 1, verse 1, the Song of Songs. The superlative form declares it to be Solomon's most exquisite song. The Latin title, Canticorum, also means song of songs or the best song. The alternative name for the book, Canticles, is derived from the Latin title. Because Solomon is mentioned in 1 verse 1, the book is also known as the Song of Solomon. The theme, of course, of this book is God demonstrates His grace to us through the joys of romantic love that He enables husbands and wives to share. That human love can also serve as a picture of His divine love for us. The author is Solomon, and the time is Solomon ruled over Israel in the 10th century BC. The structure of the book is arranged like scenes in a drama with three main speakers: the bride, Shulamite; the groom, Solomon; and the chorus, daughters of Jerusalem. Okay, as you read the Song of Solomon, watch for the life principles that play an important role in this book. Okay, life principle number 28. No Christian has ever been called to go it alone in his or her walk of faith. And of course, life principle number 1, our intimacy with God, His highest priority for our lives. Determines the impact of our lives. So that's our background. So let's read Song of Solomon with 8 chapters. Song of Songs, okay? Chapter 1, Solomon's Song of Songs. Ano ako nagtatang twister dito. Beloved, okay, beloved. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is more than delightful than wine. Pleasing is the fragrance of your perfumes. Your name is like perfume poured out. No wonder the maidens love you. Take me away with you. Let us hurry. Let the king bring me into his chambers. Friends, we rejoice and delight in you. We will praise your love more than wine. We will praise your love more than wine. Beloved, okay, all right. They are to adore you. Dark am I, yet lovely. O daughters of Jerusalem, dark like the tents of Kedar, like the tent curtains of Solomon. Do not stare at me because I am darkened by the sun. My mother's sons were angry with me and made me take care of the vineyards. My own vineyard I have neglected. Tell me, you whom I love, where you graze your flock and where you rest your sheep at midday? Why should I be like a veiled woman beside the flocks of your friends? So we have three characters here. Like, beloved is the woman, the Shulamite woman. Shulamite, is that Shulamite? Shulamite, yes, it's Shulamite. Okay, the friends and the daughters of Jerusalem, beloved. Okay, the beloved is the woman. The lover is King Solomon. Okay, so malinaw. So we're now in verse 8, friends. So if you do not know, most beautiful of women, follow the tracks of the sheep, and graze your young goats by the tents of the shepherds. Lover, I liken you, my darling, to a mare harnessed to one of the chariots of Pharaoh. Your cheeks are beautiful with earrings, your neck with strings of jewels. We will make you earrings of gold studded with silver. Beloved, while the king was at his table, my perfume spread its fragrance. My lover is to me a sachet of myrrh resting between my breasts. My lover is to me a cluster of henna blossoms from the vineyard of En-Gedi. Lover, how beautiful you are, my darling. Oh, how beautiful. Your eyes are doves. Beloved, how handsome you are, my lover. How charming. And our bed is verdant. Lover, the beams of our house are cedars. Our rafters are fierce. Beloved, chapter 2, I am a rose of Sharon, a lily of the valleys. Lover, like a lily among thorns is my darling among the maidens. Beloved, like an apple tree among the trees of the forest is my lover among the young men. I delight to sit in his shade, and his fruit is sweet to my taste. He has taken me to the banquet hall, and his banner over me is love. Yes, I like this. And his banner over me is love. This is a song. Strengthen me with raisins, refresh me with apples, for I am faint with love. His left arm is under my head, and his right arm embraces me. Daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you, by the gazelles and by the does of the field, do not arouse or awaken love until it is so desire. Yes, remember this. Verse 8, listen, my lover, look, here he comes, leaping across the mountains, bounding over the hills. My lover is like a gazelle or a young stag. Look, there he stands behind our wall, gazing through the windows, peering through the lattice. My lover spoke and said to me, arise, my darling, my beautiful one, and come with me. See, the winter is past, the rains are over and gone. Flowers appear on the earth. The season of singing has come. The cooing of doves is heard in our land. The fig tree forms its early fruit. The blossoming vines spread their fragrance. Arise, come, my darling, my beautiful one, come with me. Lover, my dove in the clefts of the rock, in the hiding places on the mountainside. Show me your face, let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet and your face is lovely. Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes, that throw in the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom. Beloved, my lover is mine and I am his. He browses among the lilies until the day breaks and the shadows flee. Turn, my lover, and be like a gazelle or like a young stag on the rugged hills. Chapter 3. All night long on my bed I look for the one my heart loves. I looked for him but did not find him. I will get up now and go about the city, through its streets and squares. I will search for the one my heart loves. So I looked for him, but did not find him. The watchmen found me, and they made their rounds in the city. Have you seen the one my heart loves? Scarcely had I passed them when I found the one my heart loves. I held him and would not let him go till I had brought him to my mother's house, to the room of the one who conceived me. Daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you, by the gazelles and by the does of the field, do not arouse or awaken love until it is so desires. Who is this coming up from the desert like a column of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and incense, made from all the spices of the merchant? Look, it is Solomon's carriage, escorted by 60 warriors, the noblest of Israel. All of them wearing the sword, all experienced in battle, each with his sword at his side, prepared for the terrors of the night. King Solomon made for himself the carriage. He made it wood from Lebanon. Its post he made of silver, its base of gold, its seat was upholstered with purple, its interior lovingly inlaid by the daughters of Jerusalem. Come out, you daughters of Zion, and look at King Solomon wearing the crown with which his mother crowned him, on the day of his wedding, the day his heart rejoiced. Okay, so chapter 4, Lover. How beautiful you are, my darling. Oh, how beautiful. Your eyes behind your veil are doves. Your hair is like a flock of goats descending from Mount Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of sheep just shorn, coming up from the washing. Each has its twin, not one of them is alone. Your lips are like a scarlet ribbon. Your mouth is lovely. Your temples behind your veil are like the halves of a pomegranate. Your neck is like the Tower of David, but built with elegance. On it hang 1,000 shields, all of them shields of warriors. Your two breasts are like two fawns, like twin fawns of a gazelle that browse among the lilies. Until the day peaks and the shadows flee, I will go to the mountain of myrrh and to the hill of incense. All beautiful you are, my darling. There is no flaw in you. Come with me from Lebanon, my bride. Come with me from Lebanon. Descend from the crest of Amana, from the top of Senir, the summit of Hermon, from the lion's den and the mountain haunts of the leopards. You have stolen my heart, my sister, my bride. You have stolen my heart. With one glance of your eyes, with one jewel of your necklace, how delightful is your love, my sister, my bride. How much more pleasing is your love than wine, and the fragrance of your perfume than any spice. Your lips drop sweetness as the honeycomb, my bride. Milk and honey are under your tongue. The fragrance of your garments is like that of Lebanon. You are a garden locked up, my sister, my bride. You are a spring enclosed, a sealed fountain. Your plants are an orchard of pomegranates, with choice fruits, with henna and nard and saffron, calamus and cinnamon, with every kind of incense tree, with myrrh and aloes, and all the finest spices. You are a garden fountain, a well of flowing water, streaming down from Lebanon. Beloveds, awake, north wind, and come, south wind. Blow on my garden, that its fragrance may spread abroad. Let my lover come into his garden and taste its choice fruits. Lover. Chapter 5. I have come into my garden, my sister, my bride. I have gathered my myrrh with my spice. I have eaten my honeycomb and my honey. I have drunk my wine and my milk. Friends, eat, O friends, and drink. Drink your fill, O lovers. Beloved, I slept, but my heart was awake. Listen, my lover is knocking. Open to me, my sister, my darling, my dove, my flawless one. My head is drenched with dew, my hair with the dampness of the night. I have taken off my robe. Must I put it on again? I have washed my feet. Must I soil them again? My lover thrust his hand through the latch opening. My heart began to pound for him. I arose to open for my lover, and my hands dripped with myrrh, my fingers with flowing myrrh. On the handles of the lock, I opened for my lover, but my lover had left. He was gone. My heart sank at his departure. I looked for him, but did not find him. I called him, but he did not answer. The watchmen found me as they made their rounds in the city. They beat me, they bruised me, they took away my cloak, those watchmen of the walls. O daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you, if you find my lover, what will you tell him? Tell him I am faint with love. Friends, How is your beloved better than others? Most beautiful of women, how is your beloved better than others? Did you charge us so? Beloved, my lover is radiant and ruddy, outstanding among 10,000. His head is purest gold, his hair is wavy and black as a raven. His eyes are like dogs by the water streams, washed in milk, mounted like chihuahuas. His cheeks are like beds of spice, yielding perfume. His lips are like lilies, dripping with myrrh. His arms are rods of gold set with chrysolite. His body is like polished ivory, decorated with sapphires. His legs are pillars of marble, set on bases of pure gold. His appearance is like Lebanon, choice as its cedar. His mouth is witness itself. He is altogether lovely. This is my lover. This is my friend. Oh, daughters of Jerusalem. So deep. Friends, chapter 6. Where has your lover gone, most beautiful of women? Which way did your lover turn, that we may look for him with you? Beloved, verse 2, chapter 6, verse 2. My lover is gone down to his garden, to the beds of spices, to browse in the gardens and to gather lilies. I am my lover's, and my lover is mine. He browses among the lilies. Lover, you are beautiful, my darling, as Tirzah, lovely as Jerusalem, majestic as troops with banners. Turn your eyes from me, they overwhelm me. Your hair is like a flock of goats, descending from Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of sheep, coming up from the washing. Each has its twin, none of them is alone. Your temples behind your veil are like the halves of a pomegranate. 60 queens there may be, and 80 concubines, and virgins beyond number. But my dove, my perfect one, is unique, the only daughter of her mother, the favorite of the one who bore her. The maidens saw her and called her blessed. The queens and concubines praised her. Friends, who is this that appears like the dawn, fair as the moon, bright as the sun, majestic as the stars in procession? Lover, I went down to the grove of nut trees to look at the new growth in the valley, to see if the vines had budded or the pomegranates were in bloom. Before I realized it, my desire set among the royal chariots of my peoples. Friends, come back, O Shulamite, come back, that we may gaze on you. Lover, why would you gaze on the Shulamite as on the dance of Mahanaim? Chapter 7. How beautiful your sandaled feet, O prince's daughter! Your graceful legs are like jewels, the works of a craftsman's hands. Your navel is a rounded goblet that never lacks blended wine. Your waist is a mound of wheat encircled by lilies. Your breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle. Your neck is like an ivory tower. Your eyes are the pools of Heshbon by the gate of Bat-Rabim. Your nose is like the tower of Lebanon, looking toward Damascus. Your head crowns you like Mount Carmel. Your hair is like royal tapestry. The king is held captive by its tresses. How beautiful you are, and how pleasing, O love, with you, O love, with your delights. Your stature is like that of the palm, and your breast like clusters of fruit. I said, I will climb the palm tree. I will take hold of its fruit. May your breast be like the clusters of the vine, the fragrance of your breath like apples, and your mouth like the best wine. Beloved, may the wine go straight to my lover, flowing gently over lips and teeth. I belong to my lover, and his desire is for me. Come, my lover, let us go to the countryside. Let us spend the night in the villages. Let us go early to the vineyards to see if the vines have budded, if their blossoms have opened, and if the pomegranates are in bloom. There I will give you my love. The mandrakes send out their fragrance, and at our door is every delicacy, both new and old, that I have stored up for you, my lover. Hi, Mitchell. Let's read. I'm now in chapter 8 of Song of Solomon. If only you were to me like a brother who was nursed at my mother's breast, then if I found you outside, I would kiss you, and no one would despise me. I would lead you and bring you to my mother's house. She who has taught me, I would give you spiced wine to drink, the nectar of my pomegranates. His left arm is under my head, and his right arm embraces me. Daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you, do not arouse or awaken love until it is so desirous. Friends, who is this coming up from the desert, leaning on her lover? Beloved, under the apple tree I roused you. There your mother conceived you. There she who was in labor gave you birth. Place me like a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm. For love is as strong as death, its jealousy unyielding as the grave. It burns like blazing fire, like a mighty flame. Many waters cannot quench love. Rivers cannot wash it away. If one were to give all the wealth of his house for love, it would be utterly scorned. Friends, we have a young sister and her breasts are not yet grown. What shall we do for our sister? For the day she is spoken for. If she is a wall, we will build towers of silver on her. If she is a door, we will enclose her with panels of cedar. Beloved, I am a wall, and my breasts are like towers. Thus I have become in his eyes like one bringing contentment. Solomon had a vineyard in Baal Hamon. He let out his vineyard to tenants. Each was to bring for its fruit 1,000 shekels of silver. But my own vineyard is mine to give. The 1,000 shekels are for you, O Solomon, and 200 are for those who tend its fruit. Lover, you who dwell in the gardens with friends in attendance, let me hear your voice. Beloved, come away, my lover, and be like a gazelle or like a young stag on the spice-laden mountains. Well, that's it. Song of Solomon. You know, it's a poem about lovers. About lovers with friends. You know? So, nakakaalala na dapat ay we treasure our beloved, especially our partner in life, you know, our spouse, yeah. Pero there is, you know, 3 times na naulit dito sa Songs of Solomon, if you remember, yung do not awaken love until it is so desirous. Yes, you know, because physically, yung ating mga cells, nagkakaroon ng change kapag na-awaken tayo sa bagay na yan. Because when you speak of love, hindi pwede na hindi kasama yung sexual aspect ng pagiging tao, pagiging lalaki o pagiging babae. Kaya, do not awaken love until it is so desirous. Meaning, yung handa ka na talaga na panagutan or handa ka ng manindigan, handa ka na, hindi lang basta ipanglaban, kundi yung maging responsable talaga sa buhay na pang mature. So, prepare yourself for love. Okay, in all aspects, prepare yourself for love. So, okay, so let's read the background of the book of Isaiah. Are you still there? Yes, it's still early, no? So, I think makakadami pa tayo ng chapters ng Isaiah kasi maigsi lang yung Ecclesiastes at saka yung Song of Songs. Okay, the book of Isaiah. Okay, this is the start of prophetic books na, no? Book of prophecy. Okay, so Isaiah is a prophet. So the book of Isaiah. Isaiah's structure is something like the Bible in miniature. The Bible's chapter divisions and even some of the book divisions have been developed over time, but it's interesting nevertheless. The first 39 chapters of Isaiah, like the 39 books of the Old Testament, predict judgment after judgment upon immoral and idolatrous people. Judah has sinned, the surrounding nations have sinned, the whole earth has sinned. Judgment must come, for God cannot allow such blatant sin to go unpunished forever. The final 27 chapters, like the 27 books of the New Testament, focused more on a message of hope. The Messiah is coming as our Savior and sovereign. Again, the Messiah is coming as our Savior and sovereign to bear a cross and to wear a crown, and the Lord will restore the fortunes of His people and give them a heart to follow Him completely. The English name Isaiah comes from the Hebrew Yeshayahu and its shortened form Yeshaya, which means Yahweh is salvation. Wow, Yahweh is salvation. Yes, Pat, mabuhay ang pag-ibig. Nako, mukhang pumapag-ibig ka, Pat. Okay, so again, do not awaken love until it is so desire. Okay, pag nagmahal ka na, make sure that you're ready to not just find girlfriend, boyfriend, material, but find someone na talagang yun ang kalooban ng Diyos sa'yo para maging partner mo forever. Okay? So, yes. This name provides an excellent summary of the book. God saves, and He does so not because His people deserve it, but because of His great name and amazing love. Isaiah's prophetic ministry spanned the reigns of 4 kings of Judah, Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, and covered at least 40 years and perhaps as many as 60. Tradition says he was sawn in half during the reign of the evil King Manasseh. Oh, ay sorry. Ah, kinalahati. Kinalahati sa... Oh, what a gruesome picture. Isaiah is the most quoted Old Testament book in the New Testament. And the prophet Isaiah is generally regarded as the greatest of the Old Testament writing prophets, those who wrote books eventually included in the Bible, because so many of his prophecies focus on the coming Messiah and on an age of remarkable divine blessing when the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Isaiah 11 verse 9. The themes of this book: the Holy One of Israel calls his people to a life of righteousness and justice, but when they turn their backs on him and his ways, the inevitable result is judgment. Yet God will always preserve a remnant for himself and will save and rescue them in amazing ways that will ultimately bless the entire world. The author is Isaiah, the son of Amos. Some scholars believe that the second prophet was responsible for chapters 40 to 66. Others divide the authorship even further, postulating divisions between chapters 40 to 55. Deutero Isaiah, written during the exile, and chapters 56 to 66, Trito Isaiah, post-exilic composition. However, the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls appears to confirm that there was only one author. Oh. Okay, the time. Isaiah prophesied from the time of Uzziah, circa 740 BC, to the time of Hezekiah, circa 681 BC. The structure, chapters 1 to 39 of Isaiah, covered events and prophecies in Israel history leading up to the Babylonian captivity. Chapters 40 to 66 contains warnings, predictions, and prophecies concerning Judah from the time of the Babylonian captivity through the arrival of the Messiah, Jesus Christ, and on into the distant future. Yes. Okay, so as you read Isaiah, watch for the life principles that play an important role in this book. Okay, life principle 29. We'll learn more in our valley experiences than on our mountain tops. Oh, that's a deep principle. Again, we learn more in our valley experiences than on our mountain tops. Yes, valley experiences were the implementation or the execution of what we have experienced from the mountaintop, because mountaintop experience is said to be the height or the climax, meaning where you enjoy the presence of God, while the valley experience is where we should apply the learnings, everything that the Lord has given us to do. There we have to do it. Okay, then life principle 14. God acts on behalf of those who wait for Him. Yes. So, patiently wait. Let's wait continuously in our situation. Let's wait upon the Lord, because here in Isaiah, there's a verse, Isaiah 40 verse 31, diba? Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Yon. And that's a good verse. I highly recommend that you embrace it in your life and hold on to it and see how the Lord will enlighten you as you live according to the promise of God. Peace with God. Life principle number 12. Peace with God is the fruit of oneness with God. Yes, peace with God is the fruit of oneness with God. Again, it's hard to be at peace if you are not one with God, or living according to what He wants for you, okay, according to His standards, or if you're living without Christ-likeness, it's hard to be peaceful. Okay, now ready? Sige, basa po ulit tayo. Kasi naman po yung nandiyan pa. Basa-basa po. Okay, Isaiah 1. Okay, so nag-time ako. Pag tumunog na yung timer natin hanggang 12. Or up to chapter 15, yung pinaka-goal ko. Okay, then we'll stop. Okay, Isaiah chapter 1. The vision concerning Judah and Jerusalem that Isaiah son of Amos saw during the reigns of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. A rebellious nation. Hear, O heavens, listen, O earth, for the Lord has spoken. I reared children and brought them up, but they have rebelled against me. The ox knows his master, the donkey his owner's manger. But Israel does not know, my people do not understand. Ah, sinful nation, a people loaded with guilt, a brood of evildoers, children given to corruption. They have forsaken the Lord, they have spurned the Holy One of Israel, and turned their backs on him. Why should be beaten anymore? Why do you persist in rebellion? Your whole head is injured, your whole heart afflicted. From the sole of your foot to the top of your head, there is no soundness, only wounds and welts and open sores, not cleansed or bandaged or soothed with oil. Your country is desolate, your cities burned with fire. Your fields are being stripped by foreigners right before you, laid waste as when overthrown by strangers. The daughter of Zion is left like a shelter in a vineyard, like a hat in a field of melons, like a city under siege, unless the Lord Almighty had left us some survivors. We would have become like Sodom, we would have been like Gomorrah. Hear the word of the Lord, you rulers of Sodom. Listen to the law of our God, you people of Gomorrah. The multitude of your sacrifices, what are they to me, says the Lord? I have more than enough of burnt offerings, of rams, and the fat of fattened animals. I have no pleasure in the blood of bulls and lambs and goats. When you come to appear before me, who has asked this of you, this trampling of my courts? Stop bringing meaningless offerings. Your incense is detestable to me. New moon, Sabbaths, and convocations, I cannot bear your evil assemblies. Your new moon festival and your appointed feast, my soul hates. They have become a burden to me. I am weary of bearing them. When you spread out your hands in prayer, I will hide my eyes from you. Even if you offer many prayers, I will not listen. Your hands are full of blood. Wash and make yourselves clean. Take your evil deeds out of my sight. Stop doing wrong. Learn to do right. Seek justice, encourage the oppressed. Defend the cause of the fatherless. Plead the case of the widow. Come now, let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they are red as crimson, they shall be like wool. If you are willing and obedient, you will eat the best from the land. But if you resist and rebel, you will be devoured by the sword. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken. See how the faithful city has become a harlot. She once full of justice, righteousness, used to dwell in her. But now, murderers, your silver has become dross, your choice wine is diluted with water. Your rulers are rebels, companions of thieves, they all love bribes and chase after gifts. They do not defend the cause of the fatherless, the widow's case does not come before them. Therefore the Lord Almighty, the Mighty One of Israel declares, Ah, I will get relief from my foes, and avenge myself on my enemies. I will turn my hand against you. I will thoroughly purge away your dross, and remove all your impurities. I will restore the judges as in days of old, your counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, you will be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Wow. Zion will be redeemed with justice, her penitent ones with righteousness. But rebels and sinners will be broken, and those who forsake the Lord will perish. You will be ashamed because of the sacred oaks in which you have delighted. You will be disgraced because of the gardens that you have chosen. You will be like an oak with fading leaves, like a garden without water. The mighty man will become tinder, and his work as spark. Both will burn together with no one to quench the fire. Chapter 2, The Mountain of the Lord. This is what Isaiah, son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. In the last days, the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established as chief among the mountains. It will be raised above the hills, and all nations will stream to it. Many peoples will come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways so that we may walk in his paths. The law will go out from Zion. The word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He will judge between the nations, and he will settle disputes for many peoples. They will beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. Come, O house of Jacob, let us walk in the light of the Lord. Amen. The day of the Lord. You have abandoned your people, the house of Jacob. Okay? So we are in Isaiah chapter 2, verse 6. Again, you have abandoned your people, the house of Jacob. They are full of superstitions they are full of superstitions from the east. From the east, they practice divination like the Philistines and clasp hands with pagans. Their land is full of silver and gold. There is no end to their treasures. Their land is full of horses. There is no end to their chariots. Their land is full of idols. They bow down to the work of their hands, to what their fingers have made. So man will be brought low and mankind humbled. Do not forgive them. Go into the rocks, hide in the ground from dread of the Lord and the splendor of his majesty. The eyes of the arrogant man will be humbled, and the pride of men brought low. The Lord alone will be exalted in that day. The Lord Almighty has a day in store for all the proud and lofty, for all that is exalted, and they will be humbled. For all the cedars of Lebanon, tall and lofty, and all the oaks of Bashan, for all the towering mountains and all the high hills, for every lofty tower and every fortified wall, for every trading ship and every stately vessel, the arrogance of man will be brought low, and the pride of men humbled. The Lord alone will be exalted in that day, and the idols will totally disappear. Men will flee to caves in the rocks and to holes in the ground from dread of the Lord and the splendor of his majesty. When he rises to shake the earth, in that day men will throw away to the rodents and bats their idols of silver and idols of gold, which they made to worship. They will flee to caverns in the rocks and to the overhanging crags, from dread of the Lord and the splendor of his majesty, when he rises to shake the earth. Stop trusting in man who has but a breath in his nostrils. Of what account is he? Okay, so that's chapter 2. Let's drink first. Excuse me. Yes. Isaiah chapter 3. Judgment on Jerusalem and Judah. See now, the Lord Almighty, is about to take from Jerusalem and Judah both supply and support, all supplies of food and all supplies of water. The hero and warrior, the judge and prophet, the soothsayer and elder, the captain of 50 and man of rank, the counselor, skilled craftsman, and clever enchanter. I will make boys their officials. I will make boys their officials. Mere children will govern them. People will oppress each other, man against man, neighbor against neighbor. The young will rise up against the old, the base against the honorable. A man will seize one of his brothers at his father's home and say, "You have a cloak, you be a leader, you be our leader. Take charge of this heap of ruins." But in that day he will cry out, "I have no remedy. I have no food or clothing in my house. Do not make me the leader of the people." Jerusalem staggers, Judah is falling. Their words and deeds are against the Lord, defying his glorious presence. The look on their faces testifies against them. They parade their sin like Sodom. They do not hide it. Woe to them! They have brought disaster upon themselves. Tell the righteous it will be well with them, for they will enjoy the fruit of their deeds. Woe to the wicked! Disaster is upon them. They will be paid back for what their hands have done. Youths oppress more people. Women rule over them. O my people, your guides lead you astray. They turn you from the path. The Lord takes his place in court. He rises to judge the people. The Lord enters into judgment against the elders and leaders of his people. It is you who have ruined my vineyard. The plunder from the poor is in your houses. What do you mean by crushing my people and grinding the faces of the poor? Declares the Lord Almighty. The Lord says, the women of Zion are haughty, walking along with outstretched necks, flirting with their eyes, tripping along with mincing steps, with ornaments jingling on their ankles. Therefore the Lord will bring sores on the heads of the women of Zion. The Lord will make their scalps bald. In that day the Lord will snatch away their finery, the bangles and headbands and crescent-like necklaces, the earrings and bracelets and veils, the headdresses and ankle chains and sashes, the perfume bottles and charms, the signet rings and nose rings, the fine robes and the capes and cloaks, the purses and mirrors, and the linen garments and tiaras and shawls. Instead of fragrance, there will be a stench. Instead of a sash, a robe. Instead of a well-dressed hair, baldness. Instead of fine clothing, sackcloth. Instead of beauty, branding. Your men will fall by the sword, your warriors in battle. The gates of Zion will lament and mourn. Destitute, she will sit on the ground. Chapter 4. In that day, 7 women will take hold of one man and say, we will eat our own food and provide our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name. Take away our disgrace. The branch of the Lord. In that day, the branch of the Lord will be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the land will be the pride and glory of the survivors in Israel. Those who are left in Zion, who remain in Jerusalem, will be called holy. All who are recorded among the living in Jerusalem. The Lord will wash away the filth of the women of Zion. He will cleanse the bloodstains from Jerusalem by a spirit of judgment and a spirit of fire. Then the Lord will create over all of Mount Zion and over those who assemble there a cloud of smoke by day and a glow of flaming fire by night. Over all the glory will be a canopy. It will be a shelter and shade from the heat of the day and a refuge and hiding place from the storm and rain. Chapter 5. The Song of the Vineyard. I will sing for the one I love a song about his vineyard. My loved one had a vineyard on a fertile hillside. He dug it up and cleared it of stones and planted it with the choicest vines. He built a watchtower in it and cut out a winepress as well. Then he looked for a crop of good grapes, but it yielded only bad fruit. Now you dwellers in Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. What more could have been done for my vineyard than I have done for it? When I looked for good grapes, why did it yield only bad? Now I will tell you what I am going to do to my vineyard. I will take away its hedge, and it will be destroyed. I will break down its wall, and it will be trampled. I will make it a wasteland, neither pruned nor cultivated, and briars and thorns will grow there. I will command the clouds not to rain on it. The vineyard of the Lord Almighty is the house of Israel. Whoa. And the men of Judah are the garden of his delight. And you looked for justice, but saw bloodshed, and joined field to field, till no space is left, and you live alone in the land. The Lord Almighty has declared in my hearing. Surely, okay. Well, let's continue. We're in chapter 5, verse 10. Okay, again, chapter 5, verse 10. A 10-acre vineyard will produce only a bath of wine, a homer of seed, only an ephah of grain. Woe to those who rise early in the morning to run after their drinks, who stay up late at night till they are inflamed with wine. They have harps and lyres at their banquets, tambourines and flutes and wine, but they have no regard for the deeds of the Lord, nor respect for the work of his hands. Therefore my people will go into exile, for lack of understanding. Their men of rank will die of hunger, and their masses will be parched with thirst. Therefore the grave enlarges its appetite and opens its mouth. Without limit into it will descend their nobles and masses, with all their brawlers and rebellers. So man will be brought low, and mankind humbled, the eyes of the arrogant humbled. But the Lord Almighty will be exalted by his justice, and the Holy God will show himself holy by his righteousness. The sheep will graze as in their own pasture, lambs will feed among the ruins of the rich. Woe to those who draw sin along with the cords of deceit, and wickedness as with cart ropes. To those who say, let God hurry, let him hasten his work, so we may see it. Let it approach, let the plan of the Holy One of Israel come, so we may know it. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight. Woe to those who are heroes at drinking wine and champions at mixing drinks, who acquit the guilty for a bribe but deny justice to the innocent. Therefore, as tongues of fire lick up straw, and as dry grass sinks down in the flames, so their roots will decay and their flowers blow away like dust. for they have rejected the law of the Lord Almighty, and spurned the word of the Holy One of Israel. Therefore the Lord's anger burns against his people. His hand is raised, and he strikes them down. The mountains shake, and the dead bodies are like refuse in the streets. Yet, for all this, his anger is not turned away. His hand is still upraised. He lifts up a banner for the distant nations. He whistles for those at the ends of the earth. Here they come swiftly and speedily. Not one of them grows tired of some or stumbles. Not one slumbers or slips. Not a belt is loosened at the waist. Not a sandal thong is broken. Their arrows are sharp. All their bows are strong. Their horses' hoofs seem like flint. Their chariot wheels like a whirlwind. Their roar is like that of the lion. They roar like young lions. They growl as they seize their prey, and carry it off with no one to rescue. In that day they will roll over it like the roaring of the sea. And if one looks at the land, he will see darkness and distress. Even the light will be darkened by the clouds. Chapter 6, Isaiah's Commission. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord seated on a throne, high and exalted, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him were seraphs, each with 6 wings. With 2 wings they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they were flying. Oh, and they were calling to one another, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory. Wow. Amen. Holy, holy Lord. Yes, you are. And the sound of their voices, the doorposts and thresholds shook, and the temple was filled with smoke. Woe to me, I cried, I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. Then one of the seraphs flew to me with a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with tongs from the altar. With it he touched my mouth and said, See, this has touched your lips, your guilt is taken away, and your sin is atoned for. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? Yeah. Here I am, Lord. And I said, Here I am, send me. He said, Go and tell these people. Be ever hearing but never understanding, be ever seeing but never perceiving. Make the heart of the people calloused, make their ears dull and close their eyes, otherwise they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn and be healed. Then I said, For how long, O Lord? And he answered, Until the cities lie ruined and without inhabitant, until the houses are left deserted, and the fields ruined and ravaged, until the Lord has sent everyone far away, and the land is utterly forsaken. And though a tent remains in the land, it will again be laid waste. But as the terebinth and oak tree, but as the terebinth and oak leave stumps when they are cut down, so the holy seed will be the stump in the land. Wow. The sign of Emmanuel. Chapter 7. When Ahaz, son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah, was king of Judah, King Rezin of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, marched up to fight against Jerusalem, but they could not overpower it. Now the house of David was told, Aram has allied itself with Ephraim, so the hearts of Ahaz and his people were shaken, as the trees of the forest are shaken by the wind. Then the Lord said to Isaiah, Go out, you and your son Shear-Jashub, to meet Ahaz at the end of the aqueduct of the upper pool, on the road to the washerman's field. Say to him, Be careful, keep calm, and don't be afraid. Oh, nice. Be careful, keep calm, and don't be afraid. Do not lose heart because of these 2 smoldering stubs of firewood, because of the fierce anger of Rezin in Aram and of the son of Remaliah. Aram, Ephraim, and Remaliah's son have plotted your ruin, saying, Let us invade Judah, let us tear it apart and divide it among ourselves, and make the son of Tabeel king over it. Yet this is what the sovereign Lord says, It will not take place, it will not happen, for the head of Aram is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is only Rezin. Within 65 years, Ephraim will be too shattered to be a people. The head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is only Remaliah's son. If you do not stand firm in your faith, you will stand at all. Sorry, if you do not stand firm in your faith, you will not stand at all. Again, the Lord spoke to Ahaz. Ask the Lord your God for a sign, whether in the deepest depths or in the highest heights. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, I will not put the Lord to the test. Then Isaiah said, Hear now, you house of David, is it not enough to try the patience of men? Will you try the patience of my God also? Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will be The virgin will be with a child and will give birth to a son and will call him Emmanuel. He will eat curds and honey when he knows enough to reject the wrong and choose the right. But before the boy knows enough to reject the wrong and choose the right, the land of the two kings of dread will be laid waste. The Lord will bring on you and on your people and on the house of your father a time unlike any since Ephraim broke away from Judah. He will bring the king of Assyria. In that day the Lord will whistle for flies from the distant streams of Egypt and for beasts from the land of Assyria. They will all come and settle in the steep ravines and in the crevices in the rocks, on all the thorn bushes and all the water holes. In that day the Lord will use a razor hard from beyond the river, the king of Assyria, to shave your head and the hair of your legs, and to take off your beards also. In that day a man will keep alive a young cow and 2 goats, and because of the abundance of the milk they give, you will have curds to eat. All who remains in the land will eat curds and honey. In that day, in every place where there were 1,000 vines worth 1,000 silver shekels, there will be only briars and thorns. Men will go there with bow and arrow, for the land will be covered with briars and thorns. As for all the hills once cultivated by the hoe, you will no longer go there for the fear of the briars and thorns. They will become places where the cattle are turned loose and worship run. Chapter 8. Assyria, the Lord's instrument. Oh. The Lord said to me, Take a large scroll and write on it with an ordinary pen, Masher Shalal Hashbaz. And I will call in Orion the priest and Zechariah son of Jeberechiah as reliable witnesses for me. Then I went to the prophetess, and she conceived and gave birth to a son. And the Lord said to me, Name him Maher Shalal Hashbaz. Before the boy knows how to say my father or my mother, the wealth of Damascus and the plunder of Samaria will be carried off by the king of Assyria. The Lord spoke to me again, because this people has rejected the gently flowing waters of Shiloah and rejoices over Rezin and the son of Remaliah. Therefore the Lord is about to bring against them the mighty flood waters of the river, the king of Assyria with all his pomp. It will overflow all his channels, run over all its banks, and sweep on it into Judah, swirling over it, passing through it, and reaching up to the neck. Its outspread wings will cover the breadth of your land, O Emmanuel. Raise the war cry, you nations, and be shattered. Listen, all you distant lands. Prepare for battle and be shattered. Prepare for battle and be shattered. Devise your strategy, but it will be thwarted. Propose your plan, but it will not stand, for God is with us. Fear God. Verse 11, chapter 8. The Lord spoke to me with his strong hand upon me, warning me not to follow the way of this people. He said, Do not call conspiracy everything that this people call conspiracy. Do not fear what they fear, and do not dread it. The Lord Almighty is the one you are to regard as holy. He is the one you are to fear. He is the one you are to dread. And he will be a sanctuary, but for both houses of Israel, he will be a stone that causes men to stumble, and a rock that makes them fall. And for the people of Jerusalem, he will be a trap and a snare. Many of them will stumble, they will fall and be broken. They will be snared and captured. Bind up the testimony and seal up the law among my disciples. I will wait for the Lord, who is hiding his face from the house of Jacob. I will put my trust in him. Here am I, and the children the Lord has given me. We are signs and symbols in Israel from the Lord Almighty, who dwells on Mount Zion. When men tell you to consult mediums and spiritists who whisper and mutter, should not the people inquire of their God? Why consult the dead on behalf of the living? To the law and to the testimony, if they do not speak according to this word, they have no light of dawn. Distressed and hungry, they will roam through the land When they are famished, they will become enraged, and looking upward will curse their king and their God. Then they will look toward the earth and see only distress and darkness and fearful gloom, and they will be thrust into utter darkness. To us a child is born. Chapter 9. Nevertheless, there will be no more gloom for those who were in distress. In the past, he humbled the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali. But in the future, he will honor Galilee of the Gentiles, by the way of the sea along the Jordan. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. You have enlarged the nation and increased their joy. They rejoice before you as people rejoice at the harvest, as men rejoice when dividing the plunder. For as in the day of Midian's defeat, you have shattered the yoke that burdens them, the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor. Every warrior's boot used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning, will be fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end. Yes, it's already highlighted. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from the time on and forever. The seal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. Okay, chapter 9, verse 8. The Lord's anger against Israel. The Lord has sent a message against Jacob. It will fall on Israel. All the people will know it, Ephraim and the inhabitants of Samaria, who say with pride and arrogance of heart, the bricks have fallen down, but we will rebuild with dressed stone. The fig trees have been felled, but we will replace them with cedars. But the Lord has strengthened Rezin's foes against them and has spurred their enemies on. Arameans from the east and Philistines from the west have devoured Israel with open mouth. Yet for all this, his anger is not turned away, his hand is still upraised. But the people have not returned to him who struck them, nor have they sought the Lord Almighty. So the Lord will cut off from Israel both head and tail, both palm branch and reed in a single day. The elders and prominent men are the head, the prophets who teach lies are the tail. Those who guide these people misled them, and those who are guided are led astray. Therefore the Lord will take no pleasure in the young men, nor will he pity the fatherless and widows, for every one is ungodly and wicked, every mouth speaks vileness. Yet for all this his anger is not turned away, his hand is still upraised. Surely wickedness burns like a fire, it consumes briars and thorns. It sets the forest thickets ablaze so that it rolls upward in a column of smoke. By the wrath of the Lord Almighty the land will be scorched, and the people will be fuel for the fire. No one will spare his brother on the right, they will devour, but still be hungry. On the left they will eat, but not be satisfied. Each will feed on the flesh of his own offspring. Manasseh will feed on Ephraim, and Ephraim on Manasseh. Together they will turn against Judah. Yet for all this his anger is not turned away, his hand is still upraised. Chapter 10. Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees, to deprive the poor of their rights and withhold justice from the oppressed of my people, making widows their prey and robbing the fatherless. What will you do on the day of the reckoning? What will you do on the day of reckoning when disaster comes from afar? To whom will you run for help? Where will you leave your riches? Nothing will remain but to cringe among the captives or fall among the slain. Yet for all this his anger is not turned away, his hand is still upraised. God's judgment on Assyria. Chapter 10, verse 5. Woe to the Assyrian, the rod of my anger, in whose hand is the club of my wrath. I send him against a godless nation, I dispatch him against a people who anger me, to seize loot and snatch plunder, and to trample them down like mad in the streets. But this is not what he intends. This is not what he has in mind. His purpose is to destroy, to put an end to many nations. Are not my commanders all kings, he says? Has not Calno fared like Carchemish? Is not Hamath like Arpad, and Samaria like Damascus? As my hand seized the kingdoms of the idols, kingdoms whose images excelled those of Jerusalem and Samaria, Shall I not deal with Jerusalem and her images, as I dealt with Samaria and her idols? When the Lord has finished all his work against Mount Zion and Jerusalem, he will say, I will punish the king of Assyria for the willful pride of his heart and the haughty look in his eyes. For he says, by the strength of my hand I have done this, and by my wisdom, because I have understanding, I removed the boundaries of nations, I plundered their treasures, like a mighty one, I subdued their kings. As one reaches into a nest, so my hand reached for the wealth of the nations. As men gather abundant eggs, so I gathered all the countries. Not one fluffed a wing or opened its mouth to chirp. Does the axe raise itself above him who swings it, or the saw boast against him who uses it? As if a rod were to wield him who lifts it up, or a club brandish him who is not wood. Therefore the Lord Almighty, will send a wasting disease upon his sturdy warriors. Under his pomp a fire will be kindled like a blazing flame. The light of Israel will become a fire, their Holy One a flame. In a single day it will burn and consume his thorns and his briars. The splendor of his forests and fertile fields it will completely destroy, as when a sick man wastes away, and the remaining trees of his forest will be so few that a child could write them down. Isaiah 10 verse 20. The remnant of Israel. In that day, the remnant of Israel, the survivors of the house of Jacob, will no longer rely on him who struck them down, but will truly rely on the Lord as the Holy One of Israel. A remnant will return, a remnant of Jacob will return to the mighty God. Though your people or Israel be like the sand by the sea, only a remnant will return. Destruction has been decreed, overwhelming and righteous. The Lord Almighty will carry out the destruction decreed upon the whole land. Therefore, this is what the Lord Almighty says. O my people who lived in Zion, do not be afraid of the Syrians who beat you with a rod and lift up a club against you, as Egypt did. Very soon my anger against you will end, and my wrath will be directed to their destruction. The Lord Almighty will lash them with a whip, as when he struck down Midian at the rock of Oreb. And he will raise his staff over the waters, as he did in Egypt. In that day their burden will be lifted from your shoulders, their yoke from your neck. The yoke will be broken, because you have grown so fat. They enter Ayat, they pass through Migron, they store supplies at Michmash. They go over the pass and say, we will camp overnight at Gibeah. Ramah trembles, Gibeah of Saul flees. Cry out, O daughter of Galim. Listen, O Laisha, poor Anathoth. Madmenah is in flight, the people of Gebim take cover. This day they will halt at Nob, they will shake their fist at the mount of the daughter of Zion, at the hill of Jerusalem. See the Lord Almighty will lop off the boughs with great power. The lofty trees will be felled. The tall ones will be brought low. He will cut down the forest thickets with an axe. Lebanon will fall before the mighty one. Hi, Sister Edith. Let's read po. We're now in Isaiah chapter 11. A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and of power, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. And he will delight in the fear of the Lord. He will not judge by what he sees with his eyes, or decide what he hears with his ears. But with righteousness he will judge the needy. With justice he will give decisions for the poor of the earth. He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. With the breath of his lips he will slay the wicked. Righteousness will be his belt, and faithfulness the sash around his waist. The wolf will lead with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the goat, the calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. The cow will feed with the bear, their young will lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. The infant will play near the hole of the cobra, and the young child put his hand into the viper's nest. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the water cover the sea. Wow, this is one famous verse here. Okay, Isaiah 11 verse 10. In that day, the root of Jesse will stand as a banner for the peoples. The nations will rally to him, and his place oppressed will be glorious. In that day, the Lord will reach out his hand a second time to reclaim the remnant that is left of his people from Assyria, from Lower Egypt, from Upper Egypt, from Cush, from Elam, from Babylonia, from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four quarters of the earth. Ephraim's jealousy will vanish, and Judah's enemies will be cut off. Ephraim will not be jealous of Judah, nor Judah hostile toward Ephraim. They will swoop down on the slopes of Philistia to the west together. They will plunder the people to the east. They will lay hands on Edom and Moab, and the Ammonites will be subject to them. The Lord will dry up the gulf of the Egyptian sea. With a scorching wind, he will sweep his hand over the Euphrates River. He will break it up and into seven streams, so that men can cross over in sandals. There will be a highway for the remnant of his people that is left from Assyria, as there was for Israel when they came up from Egypt. Chapter 12. Songs of Praise. In that day I will say, I will praise you, O Lord, although you were I will praise you, O Lord, although you were angry with me. Your anger has turned away, and you have comforted me. Surely God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. With joy you will draw water from the wells of salvation. In that day you will say, give thanks to the Lord, call on his name. Make known among the nations what he has done, and proclaim that his name is exalted. Sing to the Lord, for he has done glorious things. Let this be known to all the world. Shout aloud and sing for joy, people of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel among you. Wow! Chapter 13. A prophecy against Babylon. An oracle concerning Babylon that Isaiah son of Amos saw. Raise a banner on a bare hilltop, shout to them, beacon to them, to enter the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my holy ones. I have summoned my warriors to carry out my wrath, to those who rejoiced in my triumph. Listen, a noise on these mountains, like that of a great multitude. Listen, an uproar among the kingdoms, like nations massing together. The Lord Almighty is mustering an army of war. They come from faraway lands, from the ends of the heavens, the Lord and the weapons of his wrath, and to destroy. The Lord and the weapons of his wrath, to destroy the whole country. Wail, for the day of the Lord is near. It will come like destruction from the Almighty. Because of this, all hands will go limp. Every man's heart will melt. Terror will seize them. Pain and anguish will grip them. They will writhe like a woman in labor. They will look aghast at each other, their faces aflame. See, the day of the Lord is coming, a cruel day with wrath and fierce anger, to make the land desolate and destroy the sinners within it. The stars of heaven and their constellations will not show their light. The rising sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. I will punish the world for its evil, the wicked for their sins. I will put an end to the arrogance of the haughty, and will humble the pride of the ruthless. I will make man scarcer than pure gold. I will make man scarcer than pure gold, more rare than the gold of Ophir. Therefore I will make the heavens tremble, and the earth will shake from its place, at the wrath of the Lord Almighty in the day of his burning anger. Like a hunted gazelle, like sheep without a shepherd, each will return to his own people, each will flee to his native land. Whoever is captured will be thrust through, all who are caught will fall by the sword. Their infants will be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses will be looted, and their wives ravished. See, I will stir up against them the Medes, who do not care for silver and have no delight in gold. Their bows will strike down the young men. They will have no mercy on infants, nor will they look with compassion on children. Babylon, the jewel of kingdoms, the glory of the Babylonians' pride, will be overthrown by God like Sodom and Gomorrah. She will never be inhabited or lived in through all generations. No Arab will pitch his tent there. No shepherd will rest his flocks there. But desert creatures will lie there. Jackals will fill her houses. There the owls will dwell, and there the wild goats will leap about. Hyenas will hole in their strongholds. Jackals in her luxurious palaces. Her time is at hand, and her days will not be prolonged. Chapter 14. The Lord will have compassion on Jacob. Once again, he will choose Israel, and will settle them in their own land. Aliens will join them and unite them with the house of Jacob. Nations will take them and bring them to their own place. And the house of Israel will possess the nations as men servants and maid servants in the Lord's land. They will make captives of their captors and rule over their oppressors. On the day the Lord gives you relief from suffering and turmoil and cruel bondage, you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. How the oppressor has come to an end, how his fury has ended. The Lord has broken the rod of the wicked, the scepter of the rulers, which in anger strikes down peoples with unceasing blows, and in fury subdued nations with relentless aggression. All the lands are at rest and at peace. They break into singing. Even the pine trees and the cedars of Lebanon exult over you and say, "Now that you have been laid low, no woodsman come to cut us down." Oh, the grave below is all stir to meet you at your coming. It rouses the spirits of the departed to greet you. All those who were leaders in the world, it makes them rise from their thrones, all those who were kings over the nations. They will all respond. They will say to you, "You also have become weak as we are weak. You have become like us. All your pomp has been brought down to the grave, along with the noise of your harps. Maggots are spread out beneath you, and worms cover you. How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn! You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low to the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heavens, I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the mount of assembly, on the outmost heights of the sacred mountain. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you are brought down to the grave, to the depths of the pit. Wow, this verses is actually about Lucifer, about Satan. Okay, verse 60. That's from verse 12 to verse 15. And yeah, kasama pa yung susunod na verse. Those who see you stare at you, they ponder your fate. Is this the man who shook the earth and made kingdoms tremble? The man who made the world a desert, who overthrew its cities and would not let his captives go home? All the kings of the nations lie in state, each in his own tomb, but you are cast out of your tomb like a rejected branch. You are covered with those slain, with those pierced by the sword, those who descend to the stones of the pit, like a corpse trampled underfoot. You will not join them in burial, for you have destroyed your land and killed your people. The offspring of the wicked will never be mentioned again. Prepare a place to slaughter his sons, and for the sins of their forefathers. They are not to rise to inherit the land and cover the earth with their cities. I will rise up against them, declares the Lord Almighty. I will cut off from Babylon her name and survivors, her offspring and descendants, declares the Lord. I will turn her into a palace, and again, I will turn her into a place for owls and into swampland. I will sweep her with a broom of destruction, declares the Lord Almighty. A prophecy against Assyria. Isaiah 14 verse 24 na tayo, okay? Isaiah 14 verse 24. The Lord Almighty has sworn, surely as I have planned, so it will be, and as I have purposed, so it will stand. I will crush the Assyrian in my land, on my mountains I will trample him down. His yoke will be taken from my people, and his burden removed from their shoulders. This is the plan determined for the whole world. This is the hand stretched out over all nations. For the Lord Almighty has purposed, and who can thwart him? His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back? A prophecy against the Philistines. Verse 28. This oracle came in the year King Ahaz died. Do not rejoice, all you Philistines, that the rod that struck you is broken. From the root of that snake will spring up a viper. Its fruit will be a darting, venomous serpent. The poorest of the poor will find pasture, and the needy will lie down in safety. But your root I will destroy by famine. It will slay your survivors. Wail, O gate, hole, O city. Melt away, all you Philistines. A cloud of smoke comes from the north, and there is not a straggler in its ranks. What answer shall be given to the envoys of that nation? The Lord has established Zion, and in her his afflicted people will find refuge. Chapter 15. the last chapter that we are going to read tonight, okay? A prophecy against Moab. An oracle concerning Moab. Ar in Moab is ruined, destroyed in a night. Kir in Moab is ruined, destroyed in a night. Dibon goes up to its temple, to its high places to weep. Moab wails over Nebo and Medeba. Every head is shaved and every bird cut off. In the streets they wear sackcloth, on the roofs and in the public squares. They all wail, prostrate with weeping. Heshbon and Elealeh cry out, their voices are heard all the way to Jahaz. Therefore the armed men of Moab cry out, and their hearts are faint. My heart cries out over Moab. Her fugitives flee as far as Sor, as far as Eglat-Shelishiah. They go up the way to Luhit, weeping as they go. On the road to Horonaim, they lament their destruction. The waters of Nimrim are dried up, and the grass is withered. The vegetation is gone, and nothing green is left. So the wealth they have acquired and stored up, they carry away over the ravine of the poplars. Their outcry echoes along the border of Moab. Their wailing reaches as far as Eglaim, their lamentation as far as Bir Elim. Dimon's waters are full of blood, but I will bring still more upon Dimon, a lion upon the fugitives of Moab, and upon those who remain in the land. Oh, but yeah, I think let's finish up to chapter 16 because it's about Moab, okay? Send lambs as tribute to the ruler of the land from Selah. Well, okay na. Chapter 15 na lang, okay? Sige, I will mention na lang tomorrow. So that ends our reading for tonight. Yeah, it's good to remember this verse, okay? For us to understand, at least something to meditate upon with regards to our situation, okay? That is Isaiah 14 verse 24. The Lord Almighty has sworn, surely as I have planned, so it will be, and as I have purposed, so it will stand. God is sovereign. May plano ang Lord. Lahat na nangyayari sa mundo ay hindi aksidente, hindi lang parang ngayon lang nalaman ng Lord. Alam niya na lahat ng mangyayari. Hindi lingid sa kaalaman ni Lord na may mangyayaring COVID sa buong Pilipinas at sa maraming bansa. The Lord is God of the nations. That's one thing na makikita natin sa book of Isaiah, and even from the beginning of Genesis, yung beginning of the Bible, Genesis, in the book of Genesis, God is the maker of all nations. He is the God of nations. It's either your nation believe in the Lord or not, or your nation walk in the path of God or not. It's not just about individuals. It's not just about us, about their family, about your city. It's really about nation. So really, we have to love our nation and consider our nation in everything that we do. Loving our nation is not only for the heroes. It's for every one of us. It's for all its citizens. It's our duty to love our nation, because loving our nation is being close to God. You cannot be close to God, or you cannot say that you are close to God or believe in God if you do not love your nation. And if you love your nation, you will try all your best to really support your government, because even those who are in the government came from God, whether you like it or not or believe it or not. But nations, government officials came from God, whether they run because of their own agendas or their ways are not good. Sabi nga ni Job, can we only accept good from God and not bad? The ways of the Lord is perfect. We may seem the bad yung plan ng Lord kasi may namamatay, may nagkakasakit. But the most important actually is our personal relationship with God. Personal. Kasi what matters to God is not only our life here on earth, but our life eternal. So whether you believe or not, there is life after death. And it's not about reincarnation. Hindi yung pag namatay ka, reincarnate ka, either hayop or ibang tao o ibang buhay. Hindi yon. Kundi yung pag namatay ka, and if you died with faith in the Lord, then you will be awake eternally in His presence or in His kingdom. But if not, whether you believe it or not, wag na lang sana mong patunayan na may impyerno kapag nandun ka na. Diba? So, this is the day, what's happening to our country now is a time for us to go back to our faith in the Lord. Leave your iwanan mo na, i-renounce mo na yung buhay mo ng pagiging atheist. If you are claiming yourself to be an atheist, so kung sino man makakanood nito later, if you're claiming yourself an atheist, renounce that right now. And start believing in the Lord, because God is true. Okay? So, and the Lord is asking, who can I send? I pray that you can volunteer yourself to God, like Isaiah. Sabi niya, here I am, Lord, send me. Here I am, Lord, send me. And for you to be sent, don't worry if you feel you're unworthy or unclean like Isaiah, because the Lord has His ways to cleanse you. Okay, to make you worthy and be His messenger. So that's all for tonight, and let's pray na po. Father, we thank you for our reading. We enjoy your presence, oh God. Lord, sa book of book of Ecclesiastes, Lord, there's a lot of questions there, Father, na parang lahat walang kwenta, Panginoon. Whether maganda, pangit, whether maging matuwid o masama, parang parehas lang. Pero Lord, alam mo ang isip ng tao, ang pamamaraan ng tao, ang kawalan ng consistency ng aming kalooban, ng aming determinasyon. Kaya Lord, naiintindihan mo na kung si King Solomon ay may mga ganun siyang time, at kahit kami, Lord, kung pabago-bago kami ng isip, oh God, at kung hindi namin mapangalagaan o mapangatawanan yung katibayan ng pananampalataya sa iyo. But Lord, thank you na kahit na paulit-ulit kami na nagtatanong, nag-aalala, natatakot, nawawala ng pag-asa, Lord, paulit-ulit ka din po na nagmamahal sa amin, na nagpapaalala, na nagpapatawad, na, Lord, nagbibigay ng pag-asa at pagkakataon na muli, Lord, ay maranasan ka namin. At yun po, Lord, ang gawin mo sa buhay namin, sa buhay ng aming pamilya, sa aming bansa, Panginoon. Lord, we have fallen as a nation many times, oh God. But this time, Lord, we pray that our nation will be able to stand, oh God, by your might, by your grace, oh God. Help us to stand, oh God, and let us, Lord, let us receive, oh God, your hope, oh God, that you are our sovereign God who loves us and takes care of us, who, Lord, will be our refuge and our protection in this crisis, Lord, against this virus, oh God. Thank you, Lord, that there's no power above you, oh God. We thank you, Father, that we can, Lord, that we can hope that you can send us, oh God. Yes, Lord, cleanse us, oh Lord. We want to be your vessel of your message, of your voice, oh God, for this world, oh God, for the people around us, and Lord, for anyone whom you would like to receive your message. Yes, Lord, cleanse us, oh God, and make us sensitive to your voice so we can obey you, oh God, and give you glory. Thank you, Lord. We praise you, oh God. Again, Lord, we continue to pray for our frontliners. Lord, give them courage, sustain their strength, empower them, oh God, give them joy, Lord, and excellence in everything that they do, oh God. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Lord. Provide also for all their needs and give them peace, Lord, and security, that their families, Lord, also will will be provided and protected, oh God. Thank you, Lord, that the rainbow, we are about to see the rainbow, Lord, the sign of your covenant, oh God. Hallelujah. That this virus will come to pass and our nation will shine for you. We praise in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so good night. And that's all for tonight. Thank you for being with me and see you again tomorrow. Bye. Hi, She. Miss you. Bye, Pat. Bye, everyone. Hi, Sister Norma. Bye-bye po sa inyong lahat.